Why time feels faster as you age. Think back to a summer when you were a child. Maybe you were 8 or 9 or 10. That summer felt enormous. There were weeks inside every week. Afternoons that seemed to last longer than some entire months do now. You could be bored for what felt like forever. You could wait for something and feel the weight of every hour. Then think about last year. Not a specific moment. The whole year. Where did it go? You can probably name a few things that happened. But the year itself feels thin. Like a single page instead of a book. Most people notice this somewhere in their 20s or 30s. The feeling that time is accelerating. And that summers are shorter. No, that years are passing faster. And it feels like something is being taken. Nasui were I, and do. But time is not actually moving faster. Clocks still measure 60 seconds per minute. The days are still the same length they always were. And and what is changing is something inside you. The first explanation is one of the oldest. William James, a psychologist writing in 1890, described it simply. Each year of your life is a smaller fraction of your total experience. Shall silent God, and the star, and then what wise, I'll sign of wa. Each year of your life is a smaller fraction of your total experience. When you are 8 years old, 1 year is roughly 12% of everything you have ever lived. It is a significant portion of your entire existence. When you are 40, 1 year is less than 3%. Why rudge? The same 12 months. And are true. A very different weight. Your brain does not process time in absolute terms. It processes it relative to everything else. Now. And the older you get, the more everything else there is. But the proportional theory only explains part of the feeling. The other piece is memory. Not how much time you lived. How much time you can actually recall. Think about a new place you visited for the first time. A new city. A new country. A job you had never done before. Those experiences tend to produce rich, detailed memories. Your brain paid close attention because everything was unfamiliar. Every corner was new information. Every person. Every smell. Every texture had to be processed and stored. Time felt full. How unsettled life. Now think about a routine week at work. Grounded and spa. Monday through Friday dots. The same commute. The same tasks. The same lunch spot. At the end of that week, how much do you remember? For most people, the answer is very little. The week left almost no trace. Now is 2 hours. Your brain, sensing no new information, essentially skipped the recording. This is called memory compression. And it is one of the reasons a year in adulthood can feel so much shorter than a year in childhood. Children are almost always encountering something for the first time. And finding trade would so daddy wishi. The first day of school. The first time riding a bicycle. Nandu was faster. The first time understanding a joke or a lie, or how money works. Every week contains new events. And new events. And those new events fill memory with something to look back on. An adult in a stable routine may go months without a single, genuinely new experience. Those months produce almost no distinct memories, and when you look back, there is almost nothing to see. So the year was not short while you were living it. It was short when you tried to remember it. That distinction matters. There are actually two different questions hiding inside this feeling. Now, how long does time feel while it is happening? And how long does it feel when you look back? These two are not the same. I see what. Waiting for something boring makes time feel slow in the moment. But a boring week often feels like it barely happened when you look back on it. An exciting trip can feel like it goes by quickly in the moment. But months later, it can feel like it lasted a long time, because so much happened. Your memory of duration is not just a recording. It is a reconstruction. And the material it uses is the number of distinct, meaningful events it can count. There is a third factor that psychologists call arousal. Uncounting independent. Children move through the world in a state of high attention. Everything is stimulating. Their nervous systems are tuned to detect novelty because almost everything is novel. That state of arousal changes the way time feels. When your brain is highly engaged, it processes more information per second. Time slows down subjectively because more is happening inside each moment. Adults on familiar routines are often running in a lower gear. The brain has learned to predict most of what is happening. Prediction reduces processing. And reduced processing makes moments shorter. You can see a version of this in extreme situations. People who survive accidents often describe time slowing down dramatically. Their brains, suddenly flooded with new and threatening information, began recording at a higher rate. More detail per second, ... The same effect, in a much less intense form, happens when you are genuinely absorbed in something new. You look up from a book you were deeply into and are surprised an hour has passed. But you can also reconstruct that hour in detail. It was dense. There is also a biological side to this. Some researchers have proposed that the internal clock, the body's sense of how much time has passed, is linked to metabolic rate and heart rate. Both tend to slow with age. A young child's heart beats faster. The metabolism is faster. Their internal clock may tick at a higher rate, which could mean that more subjective time passes within an objective second. This hypothesis is harder to prove than the memory and novelty explanations, but it suggests the feeling of slowing time is not purely psychological. The body itself may be part of the equation. Now here's the part that changes how you see it. Time acceleration is not just a feeling. It affects behavior. People who feel like time is running out tend to narrow their focus, and they stick to what is familiar. They stick to what is familiar. They avoid the new and uncertain. Which means they create fewer novel memories. Which means time continues to compress. Which means they feel even more urgency. It becomes a loop. The feeling of time running out can actually cause time to run faster. And the people who seem to experience time most slowly, most richly, are often not the ones who are the most relaxed. They are the ones who are most willing to encounter something they have not encountered before. A new skill. A conversation with a stranger. A route they have never taken. A question they have never seriously asked. None of this has to be dramatic. The brain does not need an adventure. It needs novelty. Even small novelty. A different road. Different road. A different kind of music. A book in a genre you have always ignored. Something that makes the brain pay attention again. Something that makes the week worth recording. Because here is what is actually happening when a year feels like it disappeared. It did not disappear. You were present for all of it. You breathed through every day. You existed through every hour. But the brain found so little worth archiving that when you looked back, there was almost nothing to hold. The year was not stolen. Then why? It was just not saved. And you can change that. Not by doing more. Not by filling every hour with intensity. But by giving your brain something new to notice, something it has to pay attention to, something that interrupts the prediction and asks the brain to actually be present. The strange truth is that time does not slow down when life gets easier. It slows down when life gets interesting, not in the sense of exciting or crowded. Interesting in the sense of genuinely unfamiliar. In the sense of real attention. The summer that lasted forever when you were 8 was not long because you were a child. It was long because you were paying attention. Because almost everything was worth noticing. Because the world had not become predictable yet. It can still be unpredictable. Also, not automatically. Not by accident. But on purpose. You can still decide that this week will contain something your brain has never seen before. And maybe the year will feel a little longer. Not because time changed, but because you were actually there for it.